Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to this episode of BiblioTech On Air from BiblioTech's official podcast. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Lewis.
And I'm Ruby.
And today we are coming at you with another book talk / review about the book Circe by Madeline Miller, released in 2018, available on cloudLibrary, both audiobook and ebook form. So if y'all want to check that out right after this podcast, by all means, or if not, pause right now.
We'll be here.
All right, did you finish it? Cool, okay.
It's so good, right? Anyway.
All right, so quick summary. In the house of Helios, god of the sun and the mightiest of Titans, a daughter is born, but Circe is a strange child, not powerful like her father, nor viciously alluring like her mother. Turning to the world of mortals for companionship, she discovers that she does possess power, the power of witchcraft, which can transform rivals into monsters and menace the gods themselves. Threatened, Zeus banishes her to a deserted island where she hones her occult craft, tames wild beasts, and crosses paths with many of the most famous figures in all of mythology, including the Minotaur, Daedalus, and doomed son Icarus, the murderous Medea, and of course, wily Odysseus. But there's danger too, for a woman who stands alone, and Circe unwittingly draws the wrath of both man and gods, ultimately finding herself pitted against one of the most terrifying and vengeful of the Olympians. To protect what she loves most, Circe must summon all her strength and choose once and for all whether she belongs with the gods she is born from or the mortals she has come to love.
Yeah. God, that's such a good summary. Like it's some of these that we have on like cloudLibrary are very like short and sweet, but like that one like really gets into it. Yeah.
I gotta hydrate, my goodness. That was a doozy.
So first of all, I wanted to start off like this was kind of my pick. I'd seen a lot of really good things about this book. And I'd seen a lot of really good fan art, and honestly that's what gets me into a lot of things. I really love like Greek mythology, Hellenistic theology, however you tend to look at it. And I was curious what y'all's familiarity was. I think I have a decent idea for you, but Ruby, I'm not so sure. Like, what's y'all's familiarity with like Greek myth and like all of the stories that were kind of like present in this book?
I wasn't too submerged into it. Like a lot of characters that were in Circe, I had to look up and figure out get a good backstory and figure out how everyone was related, because everyone's related. They're like brothers or cousins or sisters. So I had to learn a bit with this book, but I read Song of Achilles too, so I had to do the same with that one.
Nice.
So I like, other than those two, I was not really big into Greek mythology, but these two books really want me to go and read more. I'm like, let me read that Odyssey again. Let me read.
Yeah, you should. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
If that's something that happens to be intimidating to you, dear reader and dear listener, they also in the back of the book have like a name guide and they like divide it up into like, mortal characters, monsters, immortal characters. Like they lay it out really, really well. And you could tell, again, it's very well researched. But yeah. So getting into the questions, Circe is described as a goddess with a mortal's voice and has sympathy for the suffering of mortals from a very young age. How does Circe's relationship to godhood conflict with her more mortal side throughout the story?
I mean, we see from the get-go, like, how she's pretty much neglected, like, ignored by her family just because she's not the prettiest or the most skilled. And unfortunately, with the gods, as we know, they value beauty and talent more than anything.
Yeah.
So with her not demonstrating those aspects immediately, Helios, he's just like, okay. Yeah. And then her mom's just like, ew, get away from me, ugly.
Yeah.
And it's just horrible because, that she has to find, kind of like, I don't want to say respite, but like, she has to find somewhere where she can kind of like
fit in.
Yeah, fit in. And we see that early on with also Prometheus, because she sees like how they take glee and entertainment from his punishment and torture. And she's like, well, isn't he one of us? Like, he's family. That's my uncle. And they're like, doesn't matter, he pissed off Zeus.
Yeah, they're just like, you're really young and naive for thinking that like family means anything. We're basically all family,
literally,
in a way. And like, it's, if you're spending eternity and you're just like, okay, well, centuries ago I was a a petty asshole who did things for my own ego and my own entertainment. In many centuries, are you gonna change at that point? Probably not, especially whenever like gods have like their own purpose and they have like this whole like order that they ascribe to. And we can like, I have a question about like how
You
they're
don't need
written
to
a little bit more
definitely
later,
get
but
into
like
that.
Circe from the get-go is very much like she doesn't really know her way around the realm of the gods because no one's telling her much of anything because they are neglecting her. I think the phrase "worst of all my daughters" is thrown around a lot, and it's like, that's a really brutal one.
Join
but
the
like,
club.
It is. Worst of all my daughters, but you're an only child.
I know.
I know.
What about you?
I don't know. I really liked her innocence, especially with like, because how many siblings does she have?
So many, but like,
So
Main ones, there's the sister and then the two brothers, I think. Perseus, Aeetes.
Aiaia is the one that she raises
Oh, and
on
Pasiphae.
her own, and then Paciphia is how it was said in the audiobook, but it's like Paciphia and Perseus are the two that were like kind of joined at the hip.
yeah, I didn't expect. I mean, because I knew going into the book, I was like, oh, it's about like femininity, feminism. So I expected her to be a strong character right off the bat. So when it was introduced, how tortured she was, or like how abused she was and mistreated by her family, and then especially her innocence, like in that one scene where her sisters were like, oh, you didn't know our dad
What he does with the bulls.
what he does with,
with
the cows. And she was like so bamboozled, and they made fun of her because of that. I'm like, girl, your family's twisted. Why?
Yep.
I don't know. I really liked her growth throughout the book. Like I said, I was like, oh yeah, her starting out the way she did and then turning out the way that she did. I really liked her growth.
Yeah. And I really like that whenever she does get exiled, she like actually gets to like grow into herself a lot more because she has the freedom to not be like shunned, and she doesn't feel like she has to cater to like the will, because she's already been like shunned by all the gods and like all of her family. So she's like, well, now that I'm here, I can just be myself. And like whenever mortals do come across her way, she's very much like, oh, there's like a lot of like novelty and like beauty to them because like they have these really like finite lives, and she like feels kind of a need to protect them, a need to care for them. Like several times throughout the book, she says like she's found something to mend, you know? And I think that she just has this like kind of like caring quality about her where like she actually cares about the lives of mortals, whereas like she's only seen like gods do very cruel things to mortals because, you know, gods are always vying for power and like playing to their own ego, and the lives of mortals are already so short and in comparison that they're just like, oh, I can just snuff that out and it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And Circe is just like, no, that's messed up. I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I can to save as many lives as I can.
I mean, granted, she does end up seeing the flip side of that, how mortals can be horrible as well. But
Yeah.
that's just kind of all of that's all encompassing of just like her understanding of mortals, and just, you know, kind of like for the better ones, like I do sympathize at the end, regardless of.
Yeah, absolutely. So Madeline Miller says that the goal of writing Circe was to take a woman's life and set it at the center of an ancient epic story. How do the themes of femininity impact the way the story is told, and what the messages are in the book? So a lot of ancient Greek epics, in fact, probably all of them, are very centered on the men, the heroes, women that are introduced into them are obstacles or victims or just like very, very small blips in the greater story of like what this man has done, like the glory of this man, or like the tragedy of this man. Like it's like the women of Greek myth, there are many strong ones, and especially because like, you know, they also have reverence of them as goddesses, like of goddesses and stuff like that. But when it comes to especially like mortal women in these stories, they are treated even more disposable than men in that context. So how do y'all see those themes kind of like working their way through the book?
I mean, we see it right off the bat. I mean, not only is Circe ignored because, you know, she's not like the perfect, amazing daughter, she's also a woman, and like whether she's with the gods or with mortals, we see that she's taken advantage of many times by what is it, Glaukos, her
yeah.
first love, who kind of sympathizes with her to an extent, but also kind of uses her.
Yeah.
And then when he's finally turned into a god because of her, we see how he just immediately shuns her because
Yeah.
he can have his pick of the lot of
Yep.
any woman. And then we see that with various travelers. There's a specific scene where some come to her island and she's had like a ritual of, feeding weary travelers or helping people come to her island, but these men take advantage of her, and she's just like, no, I'm gonna turn all of you guys into pigs because that's what you guys are.
Yep.
And we just see like so many characters that undermine her just because she's a woman, regardless of whether she's a god or a goddess or or a witch. That's another big part too, by the
Yeah.
way. Like the fact that she's a witch also, like that makes people undermine her, but at the same time afraid of her.
Yeah.
We see just kind of like both of those paths like intersect for so many people.
Yeah,
Well, like they didn't. I think she eventually tells everyone that she was the one who turned glucose
Yeah.
Glucose.
into a god, and they don't even believe her at
Yeah.
first.
And when she's like, oh, well, I turned Scylla into what she is now
and
too.
then they don't believe her.
Yeah.
Until
And it takes her brother being like, no, she did that, for everyone
Yeah.
to be like, oh my God, she did. And then like you were saying with like the witch thing, there is like such a stigma to that label because it's like if he was a guy, he would be seen as like, just like her brother, she would be seen as very powerful and very commanding and stuff like that. And like, sure, people are terrified of him, but they like give him respect. But for her, she's a witch and she's just kind of like, like people are like, she's powerful and like, you don't know what she's going to do. And they don't offer her the same respect
Yeah.
or the same levels of power. They just avoid her and like treat her like she has the plague.
Yeah.
even
and-
her own brother.
Yeah,
Like we
I
see
was
that
like-
Aichi's like he's someone that she relied on her whole life.
I mean, they were very close. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were similar as well in a lot of ways. And her dad gave him like a whole kingdom.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she was just like, okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he just like, he's like, oh yeah, you're a witch, but it's not something that you can be taught. It's something you got to learn. And
Yeah.
also like, I'm the best one out of all of us. Like all of that. It's just like, bro.
And the fact that they exiled her too because of it.
Yeah.
Usually like her brother too would dabble in the pharmaca. But
Mm-hmm.
because of her, what she did, they exiled her into her own island.
I will say also in a similar, because in the question that I was reading out, I have like quote from Madeline Miller herself, which is she wanted to take a woman's story, set it at the center of an epic story. She also mentions in that same passage that she also wanted to focus her attention on parts of like traditional women's labor that are looked over, especially in like historical accounts, but also in epic stories and myth, where it's like, not a lot of importance is put onto parenting, childbirth, just craft in general, and it's like, sure, like female figures in Greek myth will have like, oh yeah, they're like Penelope has her loom and like so does Athena and stuff like that. But it is very much like these sort of things like take center stage of like, this is how the birth of her child affected Circe. This is how it like impacted her life to be a mother. This is how she finds like her love for the craft of witchcraft and weaving and stuff like that. And I feel like it really puts a lot of emphasis on like how glorious those things are and how much they do impact her. And I think that's like, personally, I think that's just a really interesting place to like set your story,
And
Yeah.
real quick, just to round it out before we go on to the next question. I'm so sorry. I have a lot to say.
You go on.
But also we see the way she embraces and finds that femininity. It's not through traditional means of like, like, oh, she's fallen in love with a man, she's trying to seduce him. That's her becoming a woman. She's finally come into herself. No, when she finally does take a lover, it happens like that. Hermes, they meet, boom, that's it. That's not like the moment where it's like she becomes herself. She's feminine. She's, she's become a woman. She's claimed it for herself. No, like that has the least amount to do with that. And I love how Madeline Miller does just like kind of subvert that,
Yeah, no, there's a way that Madeline Miller like writes like sex in this book where even in the assault scene that you had mentioned earlier, where it is not like egregious. It does not like put center stage on the act itself.
Yes.
Like almost every single time, like Circe has sex a bunch during this book, but it's never like and this is my excuse to write like a smut scene or like, which nothing wrong with that, but still like it is very much focused on how does she feel about the person that she is laying with? Is she like ambivalent towards it? Is it just kind of like a fun hobby?
Yeah.
Is it something that she's actually like investing herself in? Like it's a lot more focused on and then we had sex, but this is how I felt about it. Or
Like
this
with
is how I felt
Daedalus versus like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's put in a way where it's very much like this is just something like just like her doing her like making her spells. This is just another thing that she's up to. And it's like, I don't know, it was just kind of refreshing.
Very.
Yeah. I feel like the part that stuck out to me the most was her experiencing motherhood, especially with such a rambunctious child that she had to deal with. And she's just all alone. She's like, oh my God, I can't get any help. He's just not pleased whatsoever. I was like, oh, I'm not a mother, but I can expect all other mothers to feel that same way.
Yeah. And I love that it's not like and I had the perfect child and like this is what made motherhood worth it. Dude, I had a child. Like, no. Telemachus,
You're going crazy.
Yeah. He is like chaotic and just like super like, I don't want to use the word like burdensome, of course, but just like very like a lot to deal with for a single mother who like is already like worried for his safety because she's like keeping him safe from Athena, who already tried to take him away from her. Like it's not like because he was an easy child, I like had joy in raising him. She has so many difficulties, and it goes into like the difficulty of raising a child and trying to keep that child safe without ever being like, oh man, I wish I'd never had him. Like she still finds so much value in it, and it's like she raises a good kid. You know, it's awesome. So we kind of got into this a little bit, but the immortals are written in this book as petty, vengeful, and egotistical. What do you think of this choice?
So the way the gods are written in this, it's very traditional to see the gods involved in many squabbles, petty squabbles. For example, one of the biggest stories, the friggin' War of Troy, that was started simply because it's like, okay, which one of you is the fairest of all?
Yeah.
And it was Aphrodite, Athena, and I believe Hera.
I think so. The Miss Greece pageant went awry.
Miss Greece pageant.
And that's almost as petty as you can get. But that's the whole point of the gods in Greek mythology. While other cultures see their gods as perfect and just like the ideal person to be, that's not the Greek gods. They are imperfect. The only perfect thing about them, for most of them, not all of them, mind you, is, just their stature and their status. They live on Olympus. They've been around since, the near beginning of time. Not quite. That's more the Titans, but we won't get into that. But yeah, it's just she stayed true to that. She didn't try to sugarcoat like how the gods are. Even probably one of the gods who can be seen as lesser sometimes by his own parentage, Hermes.
Right.
Like we see that he's still kind of, that mischievous trickster god, and that's still far away from being
he's
that
still
perfect novelty.
Yeah, he's still like an incurable gossip. He's still like, because that's what he is. He's still leaves Circe because he gets bored of her. And he doesn't like come around to help unless it feels like amusing to him. Yeah. And like
you're at their whim. No matter what, at the end of the day, you're at their whim. If Zeus thinks you're pretty, you're at his whim. If Hera catches wind of that, you're at her whim. God forbid. I mean, everything in this, the way that the gods are written, it's just it's great to see that, there's just no respite even from like these idealistic and perfect gods themselves, because they're not perfect. They're very human. You could almost argue they're more human than mortals themselves, but they refuse to see that.
But like, I really adore how this book writes the gods. That's why I wanted to include it in this like in this set of questions. Of course. Because it's just like, it was so refreshing for it to be like everyone here kind of sucks. But it's like Circe herself kind of sucks. If you're like there's such an anxiety that I feel like doesn't get touched on because it focuses on the gods themselves as opposed to like mortals like perspectives on the gods. Like most, not like there are famous ones where like the Odyssey, you could say like Odysseus is very much at the whim of Poseidon, at the whim of Athena, other gods. But like there is just such an anxiety that must come with you are living in this society, whether as a god, whether as a mortal, whatever, where you're just like, oh my God, if I step on the wrong piece of land, if I say the wrong word, if I do anything, like it's repeated over and over again, like gods in fear, gods in fear. There is just an inherent way that the world in this story and in Greek myth works, where it's like at any moment you could anger one of the gods and you could ruin your entire life based on
Your
a small
ancest-
mistake.
and like generations afterwards, because you might be dead, but they'll still hold it against your son, granddaughter, everything.
So this book spends over half its time on the island Aiaia, where Circe is exiled. Does the consistent setting manage to stay interesting over the course of the story?
I think so a lot, because a lot of people are coming and going in this setting as well. Like originally she's just supposed to be exiled. They're completely on her own. But the fact that we get so many stories intertwined in here as well, like Odysseus coming here with his crew, I really liked that. I know there's a question that a little further down, but I really liked that, because obviously my only known thing of Greek mythology is the Odyssey. Odysseus, he's like the most commonly known one. So his journey, you know, going to her island and then being married and having kids already, and then doing what he did with Circe, burdening her with that reckless child. I really liked that. So the constant characters coming and going on this island was a really good way to put it.
Yeah. I struggle to remember, because I know more about Circe now than I ever did. I knew about Circe in her context of the Odyssey, but I knew nothing else about her going into this. I didn't even know that she was a daughter of Helios at all. But like, I wonder how many in actual myth, how many of these stories she is intertwined with, or if it was also like Madeline Miller's kind of excuse to be like, and I'm going to throw in this character who actually never visited Circe in myth, but I think it would be cool if it tied like this little bow together about like how that came to be. I don't doubt that she was involved in a lot of different things because she was seen as useful, and she is like, I feel like if you need a checkpoint in your epic story, an island where there's a powerful witch woman is a great place to go. So I'm not going to be surprised if Circe actually had everything to do with a lot of these myths, but I wonder if any of these where it's just like, oh yeah, she never met this character like in myth, you know?
Well, and her creating what's her name?
Scylla.
There you go. Her I didn't know that. Like I always knew Scylla as that big creature that she was, but her backstory, how Circe turned her into the creature she is because she was taking her man's.
I will say in the back of the book, she like where Scylla's section is, it said that she Madeline Miller took one of the myths or one of the retellings where Scylla was previously a nymph who got transformed. I don't think it says that it was Circe who did it specifically. So I think she took that as just like who transformed her? Might as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, she definitely took like some creative liberties. But I mean, that's most myths. Like, you know, there's so many versions of myths, so many storytellers of the myths. You're going to have a billion different versions. And this is just one of them. But she does very well with like, you know, kind of making sure that stays relevant to the story and keeping things interesting. Because whether it's Circe on the island with this rotating cast of characters, or it's just Circe, like, you know, doing her day-to-day thing, like it stays interesting. It does not, it's not boring to me just to read about like her daily life, her going to collect herbs, or you know, her like going into the forest to like see the plants, just because we see it through her experience. Someone who's been just so, you know,
battered
and neglected and abandoned. Like it's refreshing to just to get that time with her alone and
Yeah.
not have any of those
Yeah.
pressures or, you know.
I mean, yeah, the way she reacts to it too, when she's like, I don't want any visitors anymore. Let me conjure up wreckage to prevent people from coming to the island as well.
I mean, if I got used to that kind of lifestyle, I'd be over it too. I'd be like, ew, stop coming to my island.
Yeah,
I'm
what-
tired of turning men into pigs.
Please, I have too many.
I have too many.
I
We
need
have too many
much
wild
bacon.
hogs.
Yeah, I agree. Where it's like the setting, I was worried that it was going to get kind of boring,
Like stagnant, but
yeah,
it didn't.
Yeah, but I think it like that stagnant setting. She's constantly like, oh yeah, it's ever changing, and I know because I'm here. People see me as exiled, and I am. But like people see me as exiled because I'm staying in the same location, but they don't know what I know, which is that the island is always changing.
Yeah.
Like even if she's doing her day to day, you see it from her perspective as she's changing as a person.
Yeah.
You know, so like her working her spells might be like, oh, she's super passionate about it. And it turns to, oh, she barely has time for it because she has a son now. You know,
Yeah.
it's like through those like daily activities, through like the constant setting, it really highlights how Circe herself is changing, that it stays interesting.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
It's also a good reminder that like this does not happen over the course of like a few years. This is centuries.
Yeah.
This is like, you know, spans over a large amount of time, and we just see glimpses into what, you know, she's doing over the span of like thousands of years.
I'm glad she just had a hobby.
Honestly.
She got exiled with like for like the rest of her unnatural days, and thank God, like right before she was exiled, her brother was just like, hey, by the way, you're a witch, so digest that while you're on your eternity on your island. You know?
Funny you bring that up, because I know we have other questions to get into, but like, do you think if her brother would have pointed out that she was a witch, it still would have come to her naturally and she would have figured it out, or she just would have been like on her island like, what is
I think
going
so,
on?
because when she turned
Glaucus.
glucose
Glucose.
into a god, she did that on her own.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
before, I mean, like granted, she knew like the power of the
The flower
flowers,
power.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like her like way of squeezing the sap into his mouth because she was crying that it wasn't working.
Yeah.
She figured that out on her own.
Because
you
it was
know?
like some kind of hidden knowledge, but at that point, like, she didn't know she was a witch yet.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, would she have come into it more like now that she knows what it is going on to the island, or would it have like,
I feel like it would have taken her a while, just because like her only other like spell work at all had been like things that she was doing because she believed that just those flowers had power.
True.
And I feel like it would have taken her a while to be like, well, I have nothing to do to anyone. I don't have anything that I necessarily need for myself, and I don't have any of the plants that I need, you know? And I feel like it would have called her, but it probably would have taken her longer to figure things out. Yeah. All right. And then we kind of touched on this, but Circe has a large cast of secondary characters that span across dozens of Greek myths and legends. Did you have any favorite characters or moments?
definitely, so one of my favorite like Greek myths and stories of all time, probably my favorite, is the story of Prometheus and how he, you know, in some myths you could argue he's also like the god of reason, in that he also gave mortals reason, not only with fire and then the punishment, and then in some stories he's also rescued by, you know, Hercules / Heracles. I really like that was kind of what set her on that path of like understanding her own empathy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because if it weren't for that small chat, which is kind of like a thing that haunts the narrative a bit over the course of the story.
Yeah.
But just that alone, knowing that got the ball rolling, I absolutely love that was able to be incorporated and just be like an overarching thing for her. And then also Hermes, like he's a little, I can't say that. He's travieso. Let me put it like that. He's travieso, but like we stand, because Hermes, he's not a terrible guy when you compare it to like the rest of the gods and characters in the story. He's still not the best, but like, you know.
Yeah. He's an ass.
Yeah.
But
He's
Hermes is my favorite Olympian and always has been. I love Hermes so much. It's not even a contest. And like I adore the way that this book wrote him. I love Hermes, but I've seen like a lot of different media where he's just kind of like, oh yeah, he's there as a messenger and he's not doing much of anything else. But no, like this writes him with such like a really interesting like personality and like, you know, interesting motivation for why he would want to come see Circe. And like, you know, like I really love their kind of like wit and their banter so much. And then, you know, then he's like, you've grown dull and I'm bored of you. Goodbye. And I'm like, as much as that sucks, because honestly, I ship them. I'm sorry. I don't think it would end well for either of them, but I do. I'm like, yeah, he left at a perfect time. You know, he left exactly when he probably should have, because he's capricious. He's not going to stay.
Yeah. I mean, he's always on the go, but also I don't quite ship them, but I friendship them in that. Like, I feel
absolutely.
like they would queen out together.
Yes.
They would just have the best, like, you know. Oh my God.
I think that if you got to like sit down with Circe and Hermes and just have like a tea session, you would leave that session
Scalding
a changed
hot.
person. Like you would know way too much about way too many people, and I think that's incredible.
Honestly, God, to be a fly on the wall or a lion in her house.
To be a lion in her house in general, honestly, that would be cool. What about you?
I agree with Rosanna, the Prometheus. I guess just because I've been reading Frankenstein too, the modern Prometheus, and then so overlapping with this book, reading about Prometheus and the fact that they threw Circe being the one to give him nectar, and then because that's like a known story that everyone knows. I was like, I really liked that part. I was like, oh, that's another one where people don't know, but it's just kind of thrown in there.
Where you just had like a small kindness given to him.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was, it does haunt the narrative a lot, but like it also, it does really spark that change in her where she's just like, I've never done anything that my father has not wanted me to, except by accident because he like hates everything I do. But you know, but the fact that she's like in like defiant to give that sort of like empathy to Prometheus is honestly like, it's really beautiful, and you can tell how it hangs over her as like, this is something terrible that I've done that's treasonous, but it's like the first good thing I ever did with my life.
Yeah.
You know? That being said, I also love how Odysseus is written in this book, because I'm fresh off of loving Epic the Musical, where Odysseus is a bad guy in his actions, but he's got kind of a heart of gold. He just wants to get back to his wife, and he's never cheated on his wife, not even once.
Oh, brother.
Wink.
Yeah.
Wink.
Yeah, in that version of the story, like there is a joke that like when Athena's trying to be like, oh, can you let Odysseus go? And she's trying to convince Hera's like, no, I'm not listening. And then she's like, well, he's never cheated on his wife. And Hera, who has been cheated on many times, is like, okay, let him go.
Just that.
Yep.
There's a man like that?
Yeah, no, which is not accurate to Odysseus, but it's accurate to that version of Odysseus. That being said,
I think we need to have an episode on Greek mythology.
God,
Because I'm just like, I want to go off on
Please.
Hera and just like so much right now.
oh
I'm
my
so
God.
sorry. I
No,
just had to-
don't be sorry. I need this to happen yesterday. But I am coming fresh off of that version of Odysseus where he's like kind of can do no wrong, at least in terms of like your sympathy for him, to this version where it's like he is like super brilliant and he is like, you catch him at first like mid Odyssey, like spending his time at Circe's island and like, charming her and being her lover and stuff like that. But something that a lot of versions of the Odyssey that I've seen do not tackle is like when he finally makes it back to Penelope and Telemachus, like his wife and son. It's kind of like a happily ever after. Finally, after 10 years of war, like even more years of being on the road, basically on the water. It's happily ever after. He's finally reunited. But there is a way that this book tells Odysseus' story after that fact, where there are political implications to the fact that he left with 600 men and he came back alone. And there are a bunch of families that are like, where are our sons? Where's our family? What did you let happen to them as their captain? And also with Athena being his patron, she's also a goddess of war. So like she's a tactician and she's just like, oh man, my golden boy is no longer in a situation, like he's at rest now.
Deuces.
I can't let him rest because like, and she kind of starts feeding him like conspiracies where he's like, the people on the island hate me and blah blah blah, and he starts kind of going like conspiratory, like conspiracy theorist mad a little bit, and it's just like yeah, full like tinfoil hat, and it's just like, I love that was like the way that she concluded Odysseus' story, is that he was losing himself because of the PTSD, because of what Athena's saying, because of like his own paranoia. It's God, it's such a good depth to his character.
Yeah.
This is gonna be like 2 hours long, I think.
Heck it.
But we are at the last question. What did you think of the ending and where Circe ends up in her journey to become her truest self?
I feel like that's kind of inevitable. Oh, I don't know. Did you see it coming from the beginning? Her turning mortal?
Not quite. I mean, I figured she would maybe like end up going to live amongst them at some point, but not like actually becoming one of them.
Yeah, I mean, that takes a lot of courage and sacrifice, obviously.
But I mean, when you put like everything she's been through together, and I mean, there's really no place no place for her like in Olympus, in the palace of the other gods. I think it's just kind of a nice natural way for her to just kind of end her story there, where almost coming full circle again.
Yeah.
Full Circe.
Excuse me.
Shout out to the amount of times I tried to type Circe into my phone and it autocorrected as circle.
No, but yeah, did you see it coming, Lewis?
No, not fully. I wasn't surprised at all, and I do think it's like a good like button on her story to be like, she's had more affinity for mortals, like even more and more, like since she was young, but going on and on, she just finds herself more at home with mortals. And her having been involved in so many traumatic things, so many very involved things, having put all of that stress on herself to like keep the barrier up around her island for 16 years while Athena was hunting after her son, and like just the fatigue that comes with finally getting to drop that, and finally getting to confront her father and being like, end my exile or else I'm going to ruin you, and just getting to go off and live her life and explore places she never explored. She always kind of like had a fear for mortality on the behalf of mortals, but she also, I feel like, envied their ability to have just little flashes in the pan of life and then getting to go to their eternal rest, you know? And I think that her turning herself mortal was probably like one of the most merciful things she could have done for herself, because she had already been through so much. And I don't know. I'm glad that she did.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I think it's fitting that is her truest self, because we were talking about at the beginning, like she has the conflict between her godhood and her mortal self, or like her like more mortal tendencies. And I feel like her kind of building up at the beginning of like her being like, I wanted to eat the flowers so I could find out what my true self was, but I was terrified to find out. And her ending with it being like, yeah, and I'm mortal and I'm going to live out the rest of my life with like someone I love. It's so, I think it's perfect for her.
Yeah.
I'm honestly glad that she gets to rest.
True.
Yeah.
You know?
Like it's kind of it's a little sad in a way, because like there's gonna be that finite end to her. But it's also it's nice because you just know like you said, she's finally gonna get some rest. She gets a break. She's not gonna be hopefully hounded by like these gods, or be easily found now.
Yeah. I mean, that truly sets apart her difference between other gods, obviously. I was like, man, she couldn't rule as just like a great empathetic god that lives forever, but then that wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And she was never one for like worship.
Yeah. I'm also just glad that she doesn't have to outlive everyone that she ends up being like friends with, or like loved ones of,
except
like
glucose.
At the end, like
that guy.
well, like she doesn't end up outliving anybody because she can't anymore, because she already had like Daedalus and Icarus pass, and then Medea and Jason, which she didn't like have a connection with, but like there are so many figures that like come and go through her life, and she was just kind of forced to just stay there and watch it happen, and like meddle where she could, but ultimately like mortality would claim the people that she loved. And I'm just so glad that like whenever she had such a strong connection to her son and then Telemachus and Penelope also, that she got to be like, you know what, all of these people in my life are mortal, and this is where I deserve to be.
Right, like
You know?
living alone forever as opposed to dying amongst those that
Loved
within your
ones.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a clear choice for her at that point.
Yeah, it's like the first village she's really had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like she's experienced real like people who actually care for her,
Mhm.
real like relationships, love, friendship, all of that.
Yeah, and there's the line that the I can't remember his name, but the little like manta ray god who I love so much, like where he's just like, I love him so much. I just imagine him with like the doofy little stingray face, and there's like all these wise words to say, but
Be not afraid.
yeah, be a little afraid, but where he's just like go find your own path. Like if you don't like what's been predestined for you, find another way. Like pick yourself up, like get to working again. And it's just like, I think that that's such a, I think that she really does take that in stride of like I get to make my own way in life. I get to make my own story, and I get to, defy that part of my godhood that said that I was going to be stuck here forever. I was going to be stuck as what I am forever, which a lot of gods are, just kind of by their nature. She says at the end that like gods are more dead than mortals, just because they have to kind of stay stuck as themselves and have the same purpose for the rest of eternity.
They have to find relevance through the mortals that
Yeah.
they, look so downly upon.
Yeah. If they start to die, you've got to clap for them and say that you believe, like Tinkerbell. Stupid.
Love it. But going back to what you just said right now, it's kind of poetic too, to find that like you could argue such a minor god like the manta ray god is what kind of gave Circe that sense of purpose, or like that final drive to be like, this is what I'm gonna go do. I mean, her father is literally the sun.
Yeah.
The sun. And he could not give two craps about her. But then you have this little minor god over here who's just like, nah, girl, live your best life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go do you.
Yeah, I'm in the water. I'm not going to be constantly watching over you like the sun.
But if you swim, I'm gonna see you.
He's so cute. I'm sorry. I was not aware of this god at all.
You need to draw him later.
I
on.
am literally going to. I have just this beautiful image in my head of just like that really like smiley stingray face, and
There's
just like all
two
of,
dots and the smile.
yeah,
nose.
all of the wisdom in the world and a deadly poisonous tail. But he looks so sweet.
We stand.
Yeah.
All right. So of course, like normal, we got to ask, what were your overall thoughts of the book? What will you guys rate it out of 10?
I really liked it. I don't know, rate out of 10. I would probably give it an 8 out of 10 just because I really liked The Song of Achilles more, just because it made me cry. I mean, I did feel empowered after Circe. So I'll give it that. But yeah, 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like when you go to watch a movie and you're like, whoa, this is the best movie I've ever seen in my life, and then you go watch another new movie like 2 weeks later and you're like, this is the best movie I've ever seen in my life. I feel like I do that with the books that we read, not all of them, but like I do that with a lot of the books we read, where I'm just like, oh my god, that was such a good book.
Yeah.
I loved it. But like literally something could not be more tailor-made to my preferences than Circe. Like this is like it is delved into like a topic that I love. It has characters that I think are written so well. It never feels like it's getting boring. It's such a wonderful character study, and the dialogue is just incredible. Like there's so many lines in this book that I had to screenshot and send to my partner like, oh my god, look. I'm trying to get them to read it. I do have to give this one a 9.5 out of 10. I'm being so brave not saying 10 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. I adore this book, and I am literally going to buy a hard copy and probably read it again before the end of the year.
That's lovely.
I love it.
Yourself?
10 out of 10. It was great. I
Let's
loved
go.
it.
10 out of 10. Okay, I'm
100%. Right up my
changing.
alley. The audiobook was great. I was reading it on the screen too. It's written so well. The narration for the audiobook is
Yes.
wonderful. I love how all the characters are written. You know, no one character is idolized too much. Circe is incredibly relatable. I mean, the scenery, the environment, the span of time, it's just all well done. I loved the Song of Achilles too. I don't think I could pick one because they were both like pretty on par.
They're very
Song
on
of
par.
Achilles might be a little higher just because it's
Just
gay.
because it made you cry. Oh, and it's a little.
It's very gay. But Circe was so good, and I could see myself rereading this book down the line. I hope that in the future it is like what the Odyssey and Iliad is to us, like in schools.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
hope that Circe gets to become that. It's so good. I really, really enjoyed reading it. I got around to reading it. I'm so glad you picked it. It's been on my radar for a while, and it's just loved
Yeah.
it. 10 out of 10.
I feel emboldened. 10 out of 10. Imagine if I was like, I feel emboldened. 2 out of 10. I
2
hated
out
it.
of 10.
Worse than The Life We Bury.
Bro.
No, this book is so incredible. I love what you said of just like, I do think this would be a really good read for schools.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Because it like ties in so many Greek myths that like, that can be kind of like an all-in-one on an English
Or a good
class.
like supplementary as
Yeah.
well, you know.
Yeah. And it's just like, you know, wouldn't hurt to teach some kids some feminist theory along the way, I guess. But, you know.
Like this, I would consider this like an epic in a way.
Absolutely.
Like-
Absolutely. No, this book is incredible. I no longer live in fear. 10 out of 10.
I know.
Gods, but no fear. But yeah, no, I loved having this discussion with you guys. This book
Same.
is so good, and I'm so glad that we finally had an excuse to read
So
it.
much. Like this is a book that I've actually like not only looked forward to, but I have not been underwhelmed by. Like I genuinely
Yeah.
enjoyed listening / reading to just the entirety of it.
Yeah, actually 9.5 could have used more Hermes, but I'm biased.
Could have used more.
Yeah,
Okay, fine. 9.8 could have been gayer.
Yes.
but, you
could
know.
have been gayer.
Could have made me shed a tear.
When Hermes was like, "Oh, well, you have all these handmaids now. If you're bored
Do
of
what
them,
you gotta do."
Yeah, what? Take them to bed."
I think
And she's not even like, "Oh, take a woman to bed," obviously because it's Greek mythology. Like it's not a problem.
They
she's
don't
like,
care.
she's like, "Oh, take a woman to bed." No, they're terrified of me.
But still 10 out of 10 for
Yeah.
real. It was great. And I can't wait until Madeline Miller's book comes out in a few years about Persephone. That's going to be wonderful.
I'm so excited about that because I feel like the myth of Persephone can be so botched sometimes.
There's so many versions of it. There's like she went herself, she was stolen, she was given away.
I think Miller's gonna have a really, really good like handle on how to tell this in a way where it's like well researched and it doesn't feel like it's like leaning one way or the other of like,
Yeah.
oh, actually Persephone wanted this the whole time, you know? Like
She took the power into her own hands and she wanted it work. Cool. All right. So that was our very passionate book talk / review about Circe by Madeline Miller. Again, if you want to go take check it out, definitely do so. It's available on cloudLibrary. If you have not signed up for a library card, do so IRL in one of our branches or online at bibliotech.org. But yeah, I think we'll end it here because we could easily go on for another 2 or 3 hours. Thank you for putting up with us. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Lewis.
I'm Ruby.
We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
See ya.
Bye.